The Brian Green Property Group New Zealand Rally Championship will once again travel throughout New Zealand, starting with the Vins International Rally Whangarei. Then we'll head south to Otago, where the International Classic Rally will join forces including Didier Auriol, Neil Bates and Hayden Patton driving a BDA Escort. Canterbury will host round 3 with a mix of forest and county roads, including 2 night stages. Then it's back up north to Masterton, Sheep Country and Rally Wairarapa. Rally New Zealand will host a round at Whitianga this year on the stunning Coromandel Peninsula. And we'll wrap it all up in Palmerston North at the final Daybreaker Rally. And once again, our expert host will be Glenn Inkster, ready to share all of his experience with you at home.
Two terms we often refer to a lot in the coverage: road sweeping or road cleaning and commitment to pace notes. We're just going to do a little demonstration that shows a few things here. These roads, obviously gravel, it's quite small, fine gravel, and the first cars that come through, they clean all this loose dust and fine rocks off to the side, and it reveals a rock hard base. Often once we've seen a few cars come through, those hard rocks in the base of the road will actually pick up the rubber off the tyres, so it's almost like a concrete highway for the following cars. On the outside of the road, this big thick gravel builds up, so if the cars go offline just a little bit, you're out into all this loose stuff, which obviously soaks engine power. It doesn't give you as much grip and you're not going to go as fast, so the seconds sort of like fall away if you're out in this loose gravel. The other thing that we talk about, commitment to pace notes. The straight section of road, the cars will be up over 160 kilometres an hour, and we're at the driver's view here, heading for that crest. They look for the trees in the background and pick a line, turning 6 left over that crest over 160 kilometres an hour. So it's spectacular stuff.
So keep watching for expert rally tips from Inky throughout the season. And Emma Gilmour returns in 2014 with a busy calendar. She'll campaign the new generation Suzuki Maxi in New Zealand and make her international debut at Global Rallycross in the USA.
Really excited about this season. Last year the Suzuki showed some real promise with the speed it was showing. I just wasn't 100% comfortable in the handling of it. We've done a lot of work over the off-season, you know, with engineer and Lindsay, main mechanic. We've put a lot of effort into the car. We've done a lot with the suspension and the diffs, so the car it feels a lot more predictable. And if I'm a lot more confident in the car, then naturally your speed grows from that. The preparation for a rally takes a lot of work behind the scenes. I have a great team of sponsors with Vantage Aluminium Joinery and Suzuki being with me, and it makes a big difference. The next part of it is logistics, getting the tyres, the fuel, accommodation, travel, everything. There's a lot to organise before we even get there. The recce is one of the most important parts of the whole rally. If you do a bad job on recce, you're not going to be able to go fast on the event. Especially at Whangarei this year, we've got some new stages, so it'll be really important to do a good job with those notes. If your car's all set, ready to go, if you've done that preparation, recce's gone well, then really everything should just roll away from there and it should all just flow smoothly. Late last year I got a call from Reese to ask if I was interested in doing the Global Rallycross Championship in America. Naturally it took me a split second to say, of course, yes. Reese took me for a drive in it and we did this launch start and I just couldn't stop laughing because it has just got so much power. It's like a rocket's propelled to the back of you, and just the grip and the acceleration is just phenomenal. Round 2 is going to be the X Games, which is in Austin, Texas. Just to be taking part in that is just a huge buzz in itself. It has such worldwide appeal to such a big range of people. Be taking part at that is, really hopefully going to lift my profile as well. Over the years of competing here in New Zealand, I've probably earned enough cred that the boys will just treat me as another competitor. I'll be starting again over there because a lot of them won't know who I am. So yeah, I'm going to have to do a good job and get the respect of them over there. Yeah, I do have a lot of seconds in my resume, and it's definitely it's been a bit of a frustration. We were really close to having our first win at Whangarei 2 years ago. We unfortunately got a flat tyre. We've had our heat win, and yeah, I really want that first rally win. I know we've got the car there to do it this year, and it's just going to be a case of getting the mileage and having a bit of luck. You always need a bit of luck on your side, and unfortunately in the past it hasn't really always been on our side, so really looking forward to the first event.
2013 started in Otago, and Hayden Paddon in the Mitsubishi went toe-to-toe with arch rival Richard Mason in a Subaru. Mason punctured early on day one and was never able to recover the time, so Paddon scored top points. Also on the podium, Ben Hunt in his first effort in a four-wheel drive rally car. Round turn, it was north to Whangarei, and once again it was Paddon and Mason battling out in front. Mason damaged a wheel bearing on day one, so Paddon took the win, followed by Sloane Cox. On day two, it was Paddon first again and leading the championship. Round three, the Daybreaker, the first of the one-day events, and with Hayden Paddon away at the WRC, Mason led throughout the day. He stopped in the final stage with a broken gearbox, and Ben Hunt just held out Chris West to take his maiden rally victory. Round four in the championship returned to Canterbury in the Ashley Forest, and on home turf, Chris West kept Mason honest throughout the day. Disaster though for Mason, who punctured and then lost a wheel inside of the finish line. West taking his first victory of the season, and then going on to take his first win in the Ashley Forest Rally Sprint the following weekend. Hayden Paddon returned for the Possum-Bourne Memorial Rally, but his Mitsubishi doesn't fly as well as the WRC Skoda he'd been driving. And that landing forcing a rapid rebuild of the green machine at service. The teamwork and determined driving had Hayden back up to second in the afternoon, only to break his diff and limp home in fourth. A strong run by Mason, giving him another victory. Paddon arrived at the final in a fight for the title despite missing 2 rounds. Despite a dusty start, Paddon led in the morning. He held the lead throughout the day, and despite a mammoth effort by Mason on the last 2 stages to close the gap to 13 seconds, Hayden Paddon would take victory and the New Zealand Championship title for 2013. Behind the scenes, Paddon had been working hard on a WRC deal with Hyundai, and early this year he announced a 7-rally deal. And he retains the support of New Zealand sponsors, including Stadium Cars and Vins, who will partner the championship in 2014.
He was very successful last year in securing the New Zealand Rally Championship, and I'm firm believing that with our support, he was able to put himself in a position that saw him offered a drive in the WRC, and we were very, very pleased to see that. Well, while we're continuing our support with Hayden and his ventures this year, we actually saw great synergy in coming forward and becoming involved in the local scene. We're actually great supporters of motorsport in general and all things related to vehicle safety, and we're very proud to be part of the New Zealand Rally Championship this year.
Coming up on Rally Nation, meet the new breed of driver set to challenge the champions. And we pay tribute to one of the sport's greatest supporters. Richard Mason has won 4 New Zealand titles and would love to make 2014 his 5th, but this season he'll be without his good friend and supporter, Greg Horn.
Greg Horn was an inspirational sponsor for me. He was more than a sponsor. He started off by sponsoring us and turned into a great friend. And unfortunately, he passed away recently, and that's left a big hole in our team. He'd be there at the end of stages, getting times, making sure we're up to speed, and that Sarah and I had all the information we could get. Always there with a friendly pat on the shoulder and a let's get into it, or with some advice, and really just an inspirational team member. So yeah, we're going to really miss him. I'd like to think that it's going to bring a 5th New Zealand Rally Championship title. It's been our aim for a couple of years now. Last year we were oh so close, puncture on the second to last stage at Wairarapa. was our, when we were right in with the chance. So this year, very similar approach, get that championship. Last year we spent quite a considerable amount of time developing the car to the new rules. It's lighter, it has some different suspension arms and things like that. A bit more horsepower. A bit more horsepower comes with its own problems. You put a new turbo on the car and it's got a different configuration, and the power shifts from low end to top end or vice versa, and that brings its own challenges. In our case, it's a Group N car that's been modified into the new rules, and what that means is that it looks better. It's got a big wing on it, it's more powerful, it throws more gravel, it's it's quicker on the stages, so it's more exciting to watch. There's a few new cars getting built, within the new rules, so nice lightweight cars, good looking things, noisy and sideways to drive. So really good at spectating now. The hardest thing to get with the new regulations is to get a reliable car. We noticed it last year, a lot of people having niggly problems, not always, major issues, but just, problems that slow them down or stop them during a rally. We had 2 rallies last year that we stopped for, crazy reasons. And it's part of that development thing and trying new stuff. Whereas when we were running Group N cars, everyone had the same thing. Any issues that arise, they get sorted out very quickly, and everybody knows how to fix them.
David Holder moves up from a Fiesta to a Mitsubishi Evo this year with support from Stadium Cars and encouragement from Hayden Paddon.
It came out of nowhere, to be honest. I caught up with Hayden at the end of Possumbourne last year, just sort of went around there and he's working on his car, trying to get it fixed, and he just started talking about Tony from Stadium Cars wanting to buy his old car and put me in it, so naturally I was pretty amped. I've never got the opportunity to drive something like this before, so it's pretty exciting. And the relationship between Hayden and I is pretty casual, like we throw emails back and forth and we do Skype sessions and things like that. He's offering as much as he can do, besides finances obviously, and he's done a lot for me in the last year and a half, so it's pretty cool working with him. It's got close to 3 times the horsepower what the Fiesta had. At the moment it gives me a bit of a heart attack, to be honest, but yeah, I'll get used to it along the way and hopefully have a bit of fun. Yeah, and then obviously there's a danger. You don't know literally what's around the next corner. You've got to have a bit of faith when it comes to rallying. Everything comes together at the last minute. Having to have a bit of faith in the big fella to get me through everything, and the money's tight and things like that, and the car's coming together the day before. So, I mean, yeah, it's a big part of what I do. For a job during the week, I'm an engineer, so my boss is pretty good to let me go off and rally, but my wife helps pay for rallying at the moment. She works full-time as well. But no, I mean, obviously you have to have sponsors at this level, and I'm very fortunate to have got blessed with some pretty amazing sponsors, with Stadium Cars, and obviously a number of other partners. And Hayden's been a big help in actually connecting me with people, and it's all about who you know. Obviously my ambition at the end goal for rallying is to get to the WRC. It's just how you get there. Obviously Hayden's gone one way, and there's a number of paths, and they're always changing with different scholarships and opportunities. And so I guess this year I'm going to focus the first half of the year on what I'm doing and learning and getting to grips with what this is about. And then the second half of this year we'll be looking towards next year and trying to come up with a plan and make the best of what we've got.
2 new cars will hit the stages in 2014. This Peugeot has been prepared to rally out New Zealand for Patrick Malley. Designed in France, it uses Evo 10 running gear and engine, a sequential gearbox, all crafted into a lightweight Peugeot body shell. And in South Auckland, Andrew Hawkswood and Norm Sue are putting the final touches on the Mazda 2 Maxi Rally car, which has seen a lot of Kiwi design and engineering from a passionate rally team.
Yeah, I guess it was in the 70s. You know, certainly Ari Vartman was a big influence in the, you know, in the 1977, 78 International Rally, and he came over, and my uncle was navigating for a guy called Rex Rattenbury, and that really got me hooked. You know, I saw Ari Vartman, and you know, with rallying, it just it manifested from there really. We're quite isolated out here in New Zealand, and as far as, you know, trying to afford the stuff, you know, the really good gear that comes out of Europe or the works cars or whatever, it's, you know, it's almost impossible for most people down here. So, you know, just to try and replicate some of that stuff, to me that's half the fun of it, just to try and build something and then race it. The Mazda 2, we you know, we looked at, you know, doing something a few years ago when the homologation ran out on the Mitsubishis and the Subarus. It was, you know, the writing was on the wall sort of 4 or 5 years ago that something had to happen. You know, Emma got some bits in from Argentina last year, and we worked together with Emma and came up with a Kiwi version of what they're doing over there. And yeah, we've got a lot of work to do yet to try and get it somewhere that I'd be happy with. I firmly believe that the reason why Group N worked back when it did was because it was so accessible for average people. They don't have to have a super duper engineer on their team. Could get a car off, you know, off the shelf and build a rally car. And you know, not everybody's a superstar. You know, there's certainly a lot of very talented engineers in New Zealand. Now it's all changed. I'm glad to be back, and I'm glad to be at the forefront of what's happening. You know, we came close a couple of times. You know, 2004 was the last time that I seriously, you know, took it seriously, and you know, it was only mechanical failure that stopped us. We basically won everything. A few years before that, it was just more about crashing out, and you know, it was more about just giving it the absolute, you know, going to the absolute limit rather than pulling it back a peg or two. And you know, I've probably grown up a little bit since those days. 2014, it's my first season since 2004. It's been a 10-year hiatus really, so it'll certainly be interesting. Mark would probably be the biggest waste of talent, you know, ever came out of New Zealand. You know, he was absolutely, you know, stunningly fast. You know, he's a really, really good friend of mine, and you know, I'd love to hand everything over to him and say, here you go, but you know, I've probably got a couple of good years in me left. So, you know, I'll have another few good years at rallying in New Zealand, and then maybe hand the reins over, but we'll see.
And finally, having shown sensational pace in 2013, Ben Hunt returns for a crack at the title.
The changes we've made to the Winger Subaru is we've put a 34mm restrictor in it, and instead of leaving the Group N 33mm restrictor, I've got the gorse out of my pocket and bought a new 6-speed Mondina gearbox, so it's still an H pattern, but just had a few reliability issues with my PPG last year, and I'm just hoping, you know, obviously the consistency of finishing all the rounds, you know, that's one area we want to start off. Pretty smooth, you know, I've had quite a few people telling me that I am smooth, and you know, smooth is always fast, so that's what I always, that always goes through my mind before I start a stage. Daybreaker is obviously a favourite, obviously after winning it last year as well, but I quite enjoyed Canterbury Rally for a bit of a change, you know, get back into some real forestry roads, and it'll be interesting to see what the Coromandel Rally brings. So I've never ever been to the Coromandel, so it'll be interesting. I don't think there'll be a huge difference in it, but I wanted to really keep the car much as I could like it was last year, because it got the power to the ground well, and you know, it was really fast in the tight stuff, whereas we just lacked a little bit in the faster stages. So if a 34mm restrictor and the little other bits and pieces we've done is going to help out on those faster stages, then I'll be happy.
6 rallies across the nation on the best roads in the world. Who will be crowned champion? It's going to be a tough fight. You can catch the action exclusively on 3 Sport starting next Sunday with the International Rally of Whangarei. So join us on Twitter at RallyLiveNZ, Facebook, New Zealand Rally Championship, www.nzrallychampionship.co.nz and check out how you can watch the cars live when the Brian Green Property Group New Zealand Rally Championship comes to your province.